Hey, this is Nato, fully automated. And in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just talk about everything I've learned about getting into insurance, starting an agency from scratch, and also exiting an insurance agency. We'll also talk about lead generation, how important that was to my agency. Just a little bit of background. Hopefully, you guys learn. Maybe you're just getting started in insurance. Maybe you're thinking about starting an agency, or maybe you already have an agency, you want to grow that, or maybe exit. I'm going to give you guys some tips on that. So, let me start with what I was doing before I got into insurance. My background was I was in the military. Right after high school, I joined the Navy. I was stationed in Norfolk, Virginia. And when I got out the military, I thought I was going to get a job for six figures or more because I was Microsoft certified. I was an engineer for Microsoft. I thought I was just going to get out and get a really good job. Well, 9/11 happened, and they had this thing in my area where I live is Houston. Enron collapsed. So I was fighting for jobs against really experienced IT guys that were already making six figures, and we're both, all of us were fighting for like $12, $15 an hour jobs. So it was really difficult. Luckily, I was able to get a contract back in Virginia as a contractor for the military, so I got lucky in getting that job. But I always wanted to do more, and what I was seeing was that the salespeople were making a lot more money than the IT guys. So I transitioned to sales, and one of my first sales jobs was selling cruises here in Houston. And 6 months later, one of my buddies started working in insurance for a big company called Liberty Mutual. I mean, I'm sure you guys know. And then he sends me a screenshot of how much he made on his bonuses. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm selling the wrong thing. So I literally immediately applied that night. And then a month later, I was hired at Liberty Mutual. Liberty Mutual was a really good experience. They have a very good sales program. Unfortunately, they don't teach you the marketing side of it, right? They teach you how to sell, they don't teach you how to market. And I think that's probably why I didn't do very well there. And the on the marketing side, what they told you to do was this: buy leads was number one, purchase leads, which wasn't really something I could do because I wasn't really making that much money. Leads were expensive. And so, also another thing that they really talked about was they called it going a milk route, going to real estate offices, loan officers' offices, and asking for business. We all know that getting COIs is important because when they send you a lead, it's pretty much a done deal unless, something happens. So I always knew that getting referral partners was important. It's just that I always felt awkward going into their offices and asking for something without giving something first. So that didn't work out really well for me. So I spent most of the time just cold calling lists. And that was difficult also because I live in Houston and our office was in the suburbs, closer to the country. And when I was calling people, I told them my name was Nato. Uh, with someone with a different name, it was a little bit difficult, but I got through it. I did not great in the beginning, but with working, I started grinding, working weekends, and I started doing okay. But I knew the marketing side, getting leads was important, and getting COIs was important. So also, I ended up meeting my wife at Liberty Mutual. And a few years later, I decided to start my own agency. And when I started my own agency, I first initially started buying leads because that's what I was taught. But I quickly got frustrated because the leads I was buying, first of all, they told me they were exclusive. Most of the time they weren't. I was always the fourth or fifth person to call. Sometimes I try to be the first person. What I found out was like, if you're not the first person or the last person, you're probably not going to get the sale, right? You got to be either quick or you got to be the last one that they talk to. But the problem with trying to be the last one is they've already talked to four or five people. By the time they get to you, they're already frustrated. You're gonna get cursed out. The second frustration was when let's just say it wasn't a lead that was being called by anybody else. They would tell me I didn't sign up for insurance. I signed up for a gift card. Where it's good luck trying to sell somebody that's trying to get a gift card, right? So I made it a mission that I'm going to learn how to generate leads. I'm going to learn how these guys are doing it, how these lead vendors are generating their lead, and that's where my mission started. We're talking about 2016, here. I was probably one of the first guys, well, that I know that was running Facebook ads for insurance. Started doing really well, started getting a lot of leads. And then this is what really turned things around. So I was generally leads for myself, mainly home insurance. And let me go back just a little bit why home insurance was better than auto insurance. I tried both. They both work, but here's the advantage where I started concentrating more on home insurance. When I was running ads for auto insurance, my price per lead was a lot higher, mainly because we're competing against big guys like Geico, Progressive. They have a lot of money to spend. So, the lead cost is going to be a lot more for those. Whereas home insurance, not that many people were marketing for it at the time. And then when I sold the home insurance, I was able to cross sell auto most of the time, and then cross sell toys, and then later on mortgage protection. Whereas if I got a lead for auto and I closed that deal, very rarely was I able to cross sell home or anything else. So I'm like, okay, I got to be as efficient as possible with my money because I don't have that much. So I'm going to concentrate just on home insurance. That worked out really well. And I was able to pick up a loan officer probably just by pure luck. And he was sending me, 2, 3 deals a month, which was great. And I wanted to do something for him to thank him for, everything, he did for me. And so I'm like, if I can generate leads for myself for insurance, I'm pretty sure I can generate leads to help him out. So I started generating what's called new home buyer leads. These are people that are looking to buy a home and give it to him. So what ended up happening was one of the leads that he got, he ended up closing it like 45 days later. And as you guys know, loan officers make 1, 2, 3 points off of the loan. And so if you have a $300,000 loan, those are thousands going to them. So he ended up making thousands on the sell, and he thanked me. He's like, "Man, I want more of these leads." I'm like, okay, no problem. I can give you more leads if you can send me more people. So he started referring people to me, more loan officers to me. And the good thing about it was I was able to generate these new homebuyer leads for a lot less than the insurance leads. So for me, it was a win-win, right? Because they would send me deals. They're pretty much done deals unless the deal fell through for whatever reason. And I'm like, okay, this is working really well. I'm getting insurance leads that are, converting. I'm also getting these loan officers to work with me, and those are done deals. And I started just prospecting for loan officers. I'm like, hey, that was my elevator speech is like, hey, I can generate leads for you guys. All I expect is for you guys to send me referrals. So that was my strategy. I started scaling that. I got so busy that I went back to my wife. I'm like, I really need help in the agency. She was already making 6 figures every year for a long time where she was at, but I needed help. And I told her, come help me on the agency. I promise it'll work out, but I can't pay you right now. So that was a tough sell. She did end up joining me. And as soon as she joined me, it might have taken us a month or two to start doing 100K in premium every single month, just me and her. We got busy. One of our first hires was a CSR, actual local CSR. And then we did that for a year. We're doing, me and her 100K just on generating our own leads, home leads, and working loan officer leads. And after a year, we got busy. At that time, we ended up hiring our first virtual assistant. That was unheard of at the time. Nobody was hiring virtual assistants. But our second hire was a VA. And then we scaled from there. We ended up growing the agency. I think at the peak, we had about 12 to 15 salespeople. And some of the things that I want to go through as far as learning and giving you guys some experience as far as building an agency. One of the biggest things is, when you grow an agency, you're gonna be doing a lot of babysitting. The more people you have, the more time you're at the babysit. So that's one of the things I did not enjoy. The things I did enjoy was the marketing piece and working with referral partners. So some of the things we learned is having control of your leads was probably everything for us, because I didn't have to rely on lead vendors to send me leads. I didn't have to rely on anyone. I didn't have to rely on anyone to send me leads because I had control of it. If I wanted more leads, I just up my spend on Meta, or at the time Facebook. If I wanted more leads, if we hired more salespeople and they didn't have enough leads, I would go and prospect for more loan officers or more real estate agents. We work mainly with loan officers. So it's important to find a good lead source. Even if you're buying leads, I mean, there are some good lead vendors out there. It's just that they have a bad name because most just don't do the right thing, right? So, but having control of your leads, I think, is everything. Once you do that, you pretty much control everything else because nothing happens until you get a lead. And then the second thing is converting those leads, right? Let's talk about that a little bit. Even if you generate your own leads or buy your own leads, it's so important that you get to those leads within 1 to 5 minutes. So this is what our data showed. If we could get in contact with that lead within 1 to 5 minutes, our conversion rate went up 400 to 1,000%, which was huge. So we did everything possible in order to do that with calling, texting, automation. At the time, we didn't have AI. Now it's much easier to get in contact with them. Well, actually, it's easier and harder. Harder because now they put filters on people's phones where, when you call them, they get filtered out a lot more. So it's getting a lot harder to get someone on the phone. But you have to find other ways to contact them: text, email. We use also a chat bot to send messages through Facebook now. But you have to do anything possible to get a hold of that client within 1 to 5 minutes. Now, so so as far as scaling our agency, if we hired more people and we needed more leads, we'd just up our ad spend or got more loan officers. If we had too many leads, then we'd hire more people. And that's pretty much what we had to balance, was leads and salespeople. And how it worked with us towards the end of our agency was this. And it was, my wife was the manager. She managed pretty much the whole office. I pretty much just did the marketing, make sure we're getting leads, and referral partnerships, making sure we're getting enough referral partners, maintaining that relationship with the referral partners. And that's pretty much how our agency was pretty much set up during the end. And then this happened. Since we're part of an aggregator, and let me explain this. Let me go back just a little bit, because when I first got started with my agency, you have a couple of choices, right? You either can go directly to the carriers and get appointments with them so you can sell, right? Like you can go to Progressive, or you can go to all of these companies and ask them if you can sell. A lot of times when you're new, they're not going to let you, right? So you have to go through these aggregators or clusters, which already have a relationship with these carriers in order to get the appointments. But what they do is they're like, okay, we're going to get you these appointments, but we are going to take, 10, 20% of what you make. And that's the give and take that you're given, right? You're getting appointments through them, but they're taking money away from you. So our agency grew to a decent size where, we're giving up multiple six figures a year. It just wasn't worth it at the time. And luckily, we got a really good offer on our agency. And let me talk about the reason why we were able to get more multiples than a regular agency is because, well, number one, our agency was pretty much 70% monoline home, because even though we tried to cross sell, we just were so busy with the loan officers. We were just trying to get in. We were just trying to sell those policies where a lot of times we didn't have the time to cross sell auto. Second, we had digital assets that were attached to our agency that were generating leads. Our website was already generating leads. We were ranked number one in the local neighborhood suburb for home insurance. So when people search home insurance, this neighborhood, we were ranked number one, and we're getting about 10 to 12 deals just off of that every single month. So that was attached to the sale. We also had Facebook ads that were running that we also sold with that. So that's why we were able to get multiples higher than your regular person that didn't have all that. So building digital assets was key. I would recommend, even if you're a captive agent, start building those assets. Start branding yourself, because you never know. You might end up leaving. and then all those assets go with you. So you can immediately leave and have leads coming into your new agency. So it's really important to brand yourself online, start generating your own leads, start getting your own COIs, because all of that goes with you wherever you go. And if you're not doing any of that, you're always going to rely on your company. You're always going to rely on these lead vendors to send you leads, whereas you can start building that stuff right now. So that's a big recommendation that I would do. And for our, the people that we work with, that's what we help them do is, let's number one, figure out what your competitive advantage is. And then once you find your competitive advantage, then go all in on marketing on that. So let's talk about that a little bit, about having a niche or niche, whatever you guys call it. I call it niche, and for you guys that don't know, is this: start specializing in something. For example, I work with a lot of people that work in trucking insurance. That's all they do. I have some people that concentrate on coastal properties, and that's what they really concentrate on. For us, we really concentrate on home insurance, and we went all in on that. If you try to market for everything, a lot of times you're going to get not much. And the thing is, the fear of like niching down sometimes is like, okay, well, if I niche down, I still want to get the other stuff, and you will get the other stuff. Believe me. Like we market for home insurance, but we got calls all the time saying, "Do you guys sell auto? Do you guys sell commercial?" Yes, we do, but we really didn't have that much success until we really honed in on home insurance. So that's another thing that I would recommend, even when you're first starting off, is try to focus on one thing and become a specialist at it. You will get the other stuff also, but that really helped us out a lot by doing that. As far as lead generation is concerned, we tried Facebook ads, we tried Google ads. Now that TikTok's getting really popular, we're testing TikTok ads. At first, I was against it because I thought it was just for kids, but I mean, my wife's on it, so I see potential in TikTok ads, but mostly we run meta ads, and we still do. I just think meta ads are way better as far as converting the price that we're getting per lead. Google ads were a lot more expensive, and what we found out was with the Google ads, people were more price shopping us versus on Meta they weren't, and our conversion rate was about the same for a cheaper lead on Meta. So that's why we pretty much concentrate on Facebook ads. And let's see what else. What else lessons I learned? A couple of other lessons that I learned as far as hiring people is one thing I don't talk about a lot is hiring salespeople. You got to be very careful with that because a lot of times they'll come in and you teach them the business. After a year or two, they're gonna leave. So there's a lot of people that come into the business, they want to learn it, and then they're gone. So, and a lot of times you got to be careful. This didn't happen to me, but it's happened to friends of mine where they've hired salespeople and when they leave, they leave and they start stealing clients from them. So you guys got to be very careful with that. I was fortunate where I don't think that happened to me. Maybe it did. I just didn't notice. But you got to be very careful with hiring salespeople, and then when they leave, making sure that they can't steal your clients. So let me talk about when I sold my agency. Me and my wife got a really good offer, and I kind of was seeing a trend. We're talking about like late 2022, early 2023. We were already seeing two home insurance companies in Texas had gone out of business. So I was seeing a trend already. Even before I got an offer, I was telling my wife something's going on. And when a company goes out of business, we then have to move our clients over to a new company, which is a pain because you got to transfer everyone over. A lot of times you're going to lose some of those people. So I already saw a trend, and I told my wife this is going to be happening a lot more. So selling the agency when we got the offer was like perfect timing. And we ended up selling the agency, and sure enough, more home insurance companies went out of business. And luckily we didn't, because there was one company that we had a lot of clients on. That would have been our whole job, is just transferring people. So we wouldn't have probably been able to make too many sales during that time. So selling the agency was for us a good decision. And as you guys know, when you sell an agency, a lot of times you get a non-compete. You can't open up another agency for 2, 3 years. And so what ended up happening was, I had to do something because I got bored really quick. We vacationed for a whole year. After that, this is when the AI started taking over. I really started getting into AI. I started helping companies how to implement AI into their business. But I always wanted to get back into like working with insurance agents. So one of the first things I started doing, I became a publisher where I already knew how to generate leads. So I became a publisher where I started generating and selling home insurance, auto insurance, IUL, annuity leads, and I was selling them to these lead vendors that would go and resell them to agents for 2, 3 times as much, and then they have to sell them to more agencies. So I was able to see that aspect of the business, the lead generation business, how they were doing things. I'm like, man, I don't like how they were doing it. So I decided about a year ago that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the insurance agent, and I'm going to, instead of them having to buy the leads that they're already getting at a markup, I'm going to set up a system for the local insurance agent where they're getting the same lead without the markup. And that's what I've been doing for the last year is helping insurance agents do exactly that. And the reason why is because when I first started my agency, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know. There was nobody teaching this stuff. There was no systems where you could generate your own leads. Your only options were what I just mentioned before was buying leads. That's your only option, buying leads and going to these, BNI groups, which I did not like, Chamber of Commerce, which works really well for some people. It's just I'm not the most outgoing person. I'm more an introvert. And so that those don't work for me. So ending this video, just wanted to just recap on a couple things. And one is whatever you do, start promoting yourself, start branding yourself. That's going to be the future. You need to start using AI and automation. I already see this getting really big. Me personally, as my experience with AI has been this. There's fear that AI is going to take over jobs, and it might. But there was a fear when the internet came also that it was going to take over jobs and companies, which it did. But if you see the companies that adapted the internet, they were able to thrive. So this is my belief. With the AI, the people that implement AI into their agencies are the ones that are going to thrive. They're not going to go out of business. And my personal experience with that is I was able to reduce a 15-man team that I had before with the prior program called Fully Covered to now a 3-man team that runs more efficient and produces a lot more. That's what AI was able to do for me. And now I'm helping insurance agents how to not only generate their own leads, but implement AI into their agencies. And I'm going to talk a lot more about that in future videos. I just want to know what you guys want to hear about. Do you guys want to hear more about lead generation? Do you guys want to hear more about AI or both? But I just wanted to do this video just to give you guys a background of, what I've done in the past, what I'm going to be doing in the future. And I've been working with agents for 10 years. Even when I first started generating Facebook ads back in the day, I had friends asking me how I was doing it, and I just helped them out. And it just turned out that, more and more people were asking me, and I didn't have time to help them out. So I started a program called Fully Covered. So now it's fully automated because now not only do we want to automate your lead flow, we want to automate your entire agency. So you guys let me know in the future what guys want to talk about. More AI, more automation, more lead gen, or I'll just talk about everything. But yeah, I just wanted to do this video just to give you guys some background on me, because a lot of people ask me like, what's your background? What have you done in the insurance space? And now I can share this video to you guys. So if you guys have any questions, let me know.